of the Department of Education Central and Regional Offices, especially Undersecretary and Chief of Staff, Attorney Nepomuceno Malaluan, and NEAP Director, John Kahusayan, partner agencies here and abroad, and learning service providers, other guests, mga kapwa naming alagad, edukalidad. Isang mapagpala at mapagpalayang araw po sa ating lahat. There is much reason and rhyme that this reimagined and now renovated National Educators Academy of the Philippines facility and the transformation agenda it seeks to implement take further shape and meaning in the City of Pines. The first Philippine city designated by the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, as a creative city. Ang saysay at salaysay ng mga puno ng pinong sa matagal na panahon ay sumagisag ng parehong kaligtan at katatagan ay pinagbumulan din ng mga aral at asal na siyang mga patulukang bato ng pinaigting na pagbabago ng larang ng edukasyon sa Pilipinas. These 5 lessons that I have reflected on, along with my colleagues and fellow leaders at the National Teachers College, I shall share with you as NTC, ang pambansang dalubhasaan ng mga guro sa Pilipinas, expresses its support. Lesson 1. The thick bark provides warmth and moisture to every pine tree. Largely because of this, every pine tree thrives even in the presence of harsh climatic conditions. When little breaks form on the bark, resin flows, thereby releasing the chemical terpene that serves as the tree's natural deterrents to herbivores and fungi. Excess terpenes released into the atmosphere during the summer days play a role in cloud seeding, eventually managing sunlight and cooling the ground. Such is the quality of resilience that every pine tree demonstrates. It finds much ease and comfort in allowing breaks to happen in order for it to increase its chances of survival and, more importantly, contribute to breaking threats of excessive thermal imbalance. And such is how we want NEAP to be like, mindful of the necessary breaks it needs to go through and allow continuous rejuvenation and acclimatization to happen. Lesson 2. The pine tree cone is designed to protect and nurture its seeds. By design, the petal-like parts of each cone do not serve decorative purposes principally, and which you normally do at Christmas time. The hinging of these parts towards the sturdy base of the cone provides a sanctuary for the seeds to take shape, retain moisture, and mature properly until they are ready to be dispersed through the wind or rainwater. Each cone reminds us of the reliability that is required of transformative processes. Through the years, NEAP has been a beacon of continuous growth and change for teachers, supervisors, and school heads. Its unquestionable reliability as an institution, much like a pine cone, has been there, but also needs to be reconfigured for it to nurture further the seeds of hope that every educator bears. Lesson 3. The thin, waxy needles reduce water loss. Every needle you see, and I encourage you to do that as you walk around this facility, however small it is, it contains a small amount of natural wax that traps water. And if you listen well to your teacher during the lesson on photosynthesis, and God knows if you were present or absent, you would know that the growth process begins with the water entering the leaves and just the right amount of sunlight. In the past 2 days, we were convened much like pine needles to reaffirm our role in sustaining the life of NEAP and of the education sector for that matter. And we are reminded, every needle, every educator, every teacher education institution, every learning service provider, every staff member, every action each of these actors and agents does, all of us matter. We are the needles of this one huge pine tree, the nail. Lesson 4. The needles photosynthesize whenever there is sufficient sunlight. Further into that science lesson that I hope by now you have recalled you did not miss. Within the plant cell in every leaf or needle, the water is oxidized due to the light and the heat it bears, meaning it loses electrons, while the carbon dioxide is reduced, meaning it gains electrons. This transforms the water into oxygen and the carbon dioxide into glucose. From now on, think of the forces that shape the directions of education as a social science, as a public trust, and as an enduring mission, as sunlight, as heat, as warmth. They are necessary to enable every needle to do its work of driving sustained growth. Much sunlight comes through the many glass panels and spaces of this enhanced facility, which for the longest time lacked that light. And maybe because of these, NEAP can also bring more light and heat and warmth to the entire education sector. The final lesson. Pine trees are evergreen. Again, its leaves contain the proof. If you will have the chance to take a closer look at the fallen branch of a pine tree, you would see 3 shades of green. A fainter shade towards the end signals that the needles in such bark are about to decay. Next to it is a shade closer to what we regard as leaf green. And then on the tip, you will find a yellow-green thread reminding you it's the youngest part. We're not talking of age. It means that nothing's lost as each sector of needles turns from green to gold. The old ones wither away to nurture the soil that keeps the entire tree capable of growing more needles. It's a very inspiring cycle of growth, similar to how old practices and policies leave valuable lessons to inform succeeding ones. That's the kind of NEAP we really want to sustain. Evergreen. Each lesson I have shared with you stands for 5 R's that we at National Teachers College collectively put forward in our alternative message of commitment to support the standards and systems that NEAP wishes to grow. The bark reminds us of resilience, the cones, reliability, the needles, responsibility and responsiveness, and the entire tree, robustness. NTC, in union with the other institutions under the Ayala Yunchenko Education Network, namely Mapua University, Malayan College, Laguna and Davao, Malayan Digital College, Malayan High School of Science, University of Nueva Cáceres, and the Affordable Private Education Centers, or APEC, and our international education development partners, LinkedIn Learning, that provides the international certification for all Lunduyan sa Kahusayan scholars, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Jamil Abdul Latif World Education Laboratory, and just last week, the Arizona State University, the U.S. most innovative university, is here to support NEAP in becoming the beacon of education resilience, reliability, responsibility, responsiveness, and robustness in building the Filipino nation one teacher, one supervisor, one school head at a time. This is the spirit of Lunduyan sa Kahusayan program. where the center is every teacher, every supervisor, every school head. Cohort 2 registration is still ongoing. Sa National Teachers College, ang pambansang dalubhasaan ng mga guro sa Pilipinas na tinatawag naming tanglaw, ang aming mga institusyonal na pagpapahalaga ay tinaguriang kakampi, kahusayan, katapatan, malasakit, pagkamalikhain, at integridad. Sa araw na ito ng pagtatalaga ng aming institusyon bilang kakampi ng NEAP sa kanyang patuloy na pagpapalakas, pagpapalawa, at pagpapalalim ng mga adhikain ng kaunlarang pang-edukasyon na nag-uugat sa bawat gurong Pilipino, ipinagmamalaki namin itaguyod ang ating mga gurong tanglaw, gurong bayani, alagad, edukalidad. Sa ngalan ng buong pambansang dalubhasaan ng mga guro sa Pilipinas, kakampinin niyo kami sa NEAP.